Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Kim J. Ensho, and today I will be discussing with you Let's Set number 2 in mathematics. And before we start our discussion, let us start with a prayer. Let us all be reminded that we are in the most holy presence of the Lord. Heavenly King, Father and Lord, we worship, glorify, praise, and adore your name. We thank you for all the blessings and grace you continuously give us, for the gift of life, family, friends, and peace. We are sorry for all of our trespasses. We pray that you bless all our loved ones, those who are here on earth, and those who left before us, that you give us all our heart's needs, hopes, and aspirations. Please bless us all, we pray. Amen. All right. Good day, everyone, and I hope you are having a great day today. And so we are here for another set of 50 items. Let's discuss set 2 this time. And for this set, we also limited the difficulty of the first few sets because our goal is to solve some basic problems so that later on we will be able to have a quick, we have that grasp or mastery of the topic before we move on to complicated or more difficult items. So let's start with item number 1. What is the sum of twice 9 and thrice 4? Is it 30, 35, 42, or 216? And to answer this question, when we speak about twice 9, it's actually 2 times 9, which is 18. And thrice would tell us times 3 of a certain number, 3 times of a certain number. So thrice 4 means 3 times 4, which is actually equal to 12. And since we are looking for their sum, then we have to add them. Therefore, it's 18 plus 12, which is equal to 30. So our answer for item number 1 is 30, letter A. I believe that many of you got this correctly. Let's have the second item. Simplify the square of the quantity 5 times 3 minus 4 minus 400 divided by 4. Is it negative 69.75, 10, 21, or 500? We'll see. Now, if you have this expression, then we need to make use of your GEMDAS rule. G stands for grouping, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. And we usually do this in order from left to right, whenever they are available or present. And if ever it involves multiplication or division, we do the operation that comes first. And in this case, do we have a grouping? Yes. In fact, our grouping is this parenthesis here. And the grouping symbol is actually telling us that we have to simplify first what is inside the parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis, we have here 5 times 3 minus 4. But again, we have 2 operations inside, namely times or multiplication and subtraction. And the GEMDAS rule is telling us that multiplication should be prioritized over subtraction. So that's 5 times 3. That's actually 15. Minus 4, I just copy the rest. Then you will have 15 minus 4 here, which becomes 11. So the expression becomes 11 squared minus 400 divided by 4. So we are done with grouping. And next, we have E, which is exponent. Do we have? Yes. In fact, you see this 2 here, which is actually, this expression is read as 11 squared. And if you square a number, you are actually multiplying a number to itself. So the common error of many is 11 times 2, but no. This means 11 times 11, which is 121. And I just copy the rest, minus 400 divided by 4. So now you have this. You have subtraction and division. Which operation should be done first? Subtraction or division? And the answer is division, because division comes before subtraction. And so we have to divide 400 by 4, which is 100. So the expression becomes 121 minus 100, which simplifies to 21. So if you answered letter C, congratulations, you got it correctly. Okay, let's have the third one. Jovic purchased 4 tapes at 119 pesos each and 3 CDs at 49 pesos each. He gave the cashier 2 500 peso notes. How much is his change in Philippine pesos? Is it 114, 279, 377, or 477? So first thing, probably the best thing to do here is we have to determine first the total amount of his purchases. So the 4 tapes will cost 4 times 119 pesos, which is 476, right? Also, it is stated in the problem that he bought 3 CDs at 49 each. And so 3 times 49 gives us 147 pesos. So all in all, what is the total cost of all his purchases? That is, okay, you add them, 623 pesos. And since he gave the cashier 2 500 peso notes, so he gave the cashier 1,000 pesos, right? And so subtracting the total amount of his purchase, and that gives us 377 pesos. So the correct answer is letter C. Okay. Okay, let's have number 4. Which of the following number sentence answers the following? 5 times the square of the sum of 4 and 5. Again, 5 times the square of the sum of 4 and 5. Which one of these? Which one of these do you think? Okay, so if you see problems like this, usually what we do is we work from right to left. Now, this time, take a look. If you have there 5 times the square of the sum of 4 and 5, so we work first from the very last given, which is the sum of 4 and 5. And so that expression will be, of course, 4 plus 5, because sum implies addition. Next, we go back. Square of the sum of 4 and 5. So you already have 4 plus 5. And so what you have to do is you have to square that sum. So you have here the square of the quantity 4 plus 5. And another thing, since you have here this 5 times, so this expression will be multiplied with 5. That is why the value or this particular expression could be translated into mathematical expression as this one, which is letter D. I hope you got this correctly. Next. Okay, I hope you got this right. If you think that you find it challenging, feel free to replay some parts that needs to be that needs clarification, because we have to work on our own pace. Let's have number 5. What's the GCF of 48 and 54? Is it A6, B7, C9, or D, 432? Now, when we speak about GCF, it's actually the acronym for your greatest common factor, which is the largest natural number that divides two or more given natural numbers. And so, one way for us to determine the GCF is by prime factorization. I believe we are familiar with prime numbers. These are whole numbers greater than or equal to 2 that have exactly two positive factors, 1 and itself. So we know that 48 could be factored as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. You could actually accomplish this by making use of your factor 3 if you wish. And 54 could be factored as 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. And from here, we could see that between them, there is only 1 2, like this one. There's only 1 2 that's present to both of them. And 1 3 also. You notice, sir, there are 4 of them. Here it's only 1. You pick only the number that's the same number of factors from both of them. So there's only 1 of them. Also same with 3. So therefore, to get the GCF, all you have to do is multiply those numbers that are common to both of them. And so the GCF of 48 and 54 is 2 times 3, which is 6. So the correct answer here is letter A. Now, I will present another method, and this is what you call your continuous division method. I believe you're familiar. So you have there to place the two numbers. So you have here your 48 and 54. And we will divide them by natural numbers greater than or equal to 2 until such time that they are no longer divisible by any natural number except 1. So both are even. So both are divisible by 2. And so that's actually 48 divided by 2 will give you 24. 54 divided by 2 will give you 27. Could we still divide 24 and 27? Is there still a natural number greater than or equal to 2 that divides both of them? Yes. In fact, they are both divisible by 3. So with that, you could place here the 3. And if we do the division, 24 divided by 3 is 8. And 27 divided by 3 is 9. And you could notice that 8 and 9 here are no longer divisible by numbers greater than or equal to 2. Their GCF is 1. So in this case, we should stop now. And to get the GCF, it is simply the product of all the numbers that are found on the left side here. Thus, your GCF is 2 times 3, which is 6. So the answer here is the letter A. So you are now free to choose. You may choose the prime factorization method, or you may choose this method, this continuous division method. If you wish, there's also what we call Euclidean algorithm. But for now, we will not discuss that one. And let's have number 6. Next. Mia has 2 ribbons measuring 36 centimeters and 48 centimeters. She would like to cut them to make pieces of equal length. What is the maximum length of a piece of ribbon? Is it 6, 8, 12, and 15? Now, you could see here terms like maximum length of a piece of ribbon. And in this case, there should be no wastage, right? So if you see a similar problem like this problem actually involves the application of your greatest common factor. So we are actually looking for the GCF sorry, for the GCF of your 36 and 48. And in my case, I'm using still the prime factorization method. 36 could be expressed as 2 times 2 times 3 times 3, whereas this 48 could be expressed as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Okay, how many 2's are present, are common to them? There are 2, no? And how many 3's? Only 1. So you can see here. And therefore, the GCF is simply the product of 2, 2, and 3. And that is equal to 12 cm here in this case. That's why we could say that the maximum length of a piece of ribbon is 12 centimeters. Letter C. Okay, and also I'll just have this one pass by. It's your continuous division method, and they are both divisible by 36, no? By 6 rather. 36 divided by 6 is 6. 48 divided by 6 is 8. But 6 and 8 are still divisible by 2. So continuing, this will be 3 here, because 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. And 3 and 4 are already relatively prime. When we say relatively prime, their GCF is 1. So we shall stop here and just simply get the product of the numbers at this side. Take note that some of you might start with prime numbers, but that they are all divisible by this number that you place there. So it's simply 6 times 2 or 12. Letter C. All right. I hope you got that correctly. Let's have number 7. Find the LCM of 4, 6, and 8. So when we speak about LCM, that's your acronym for the least common multiple, which is, when we speak about multiples, by the way, it's like your skip counting. For example, if you skip by 2's, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. If you do find the multiples of 3, that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. For 5, that's 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. And so in this problem, if you are going to get the multiples of 4, 6, and 8, what will be the smallest number that will be a common multiple of these 3 of them? And so there are many ways of doing this. And one way is, of course, by listing some multiples. We could list some multiples. And in my case, okay, I listed here multiples of 4 as 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and so on. For 6, that's 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and so on. For 8, that's 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, and so on. Now the thing is, what number is common to all of them in their multiples? So you could see, there's, okay, 24, 24. You see, but first, if you want, there's 12 here, 12, but 12 is not a multiple found in 8, in the multiples of 8. So we'd skip that. What else? For 16, it's a multiple of 4 and 8, but not a multiple of 6. But take a look at 24. 24 is a multiple of 4. It's still a multiple of 6. And it's also a multiple of 8. Therefore, we could say that the LCM of 4, 6, and 8 is 24. Letter C. And I'm sure the multiples of the LCM will also be common multiples of 4, 6, and 8. For example, after 24, 24 times 1 is 24. 2 times 24 will be 48. I'm sure 48. 3 times 24, 72, and so on. That's for sure. Now, if we will employ another method, namely the continuous division method, we could also use this, don't worry. And we know that 4, 6, and 8 are all even, so they are divisible by 2. And dividing each, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 8 divided by 2 is, I'm sorry, I apologize. This should be 4. Okay. All right, sorry for that. And if you could notice, no natural number except 1 can divide 2, 3, and 4 without remainder. But remember, if you're going to solve for GCF, you stop. Because GCF, in using the long division for GCF, it should divide all of them. But for LCM, you have to make sure that the numbers are pairwise, relatively prime. Pairwise, relatively prime. Meaning to say that whatever two numbers you take, their GCF has to be 1. For example, in this case, 2 and 3, their GCF is 1, so never mind. 3 and 4, their GCF is also 1. But 2 and 4 has a GCF. They have a GCF of 2. So you continue. Right there, 2. Now, 2 divided by 2 is 1. But if you could notice, 3 is not divisible by 2, right? So, if it is not divisible, just copy it. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Next, examine ourselves. Can we still go on? Let's check. The GCF of 1 and 3 is 1, okay. 3 and 2 is also 1, okay. And 1 and 2, it's 1. Since the pairwise GCF is 1, you may now stop. And to get the LCM, guys, just remember the letter L. You simply have to multiply the numbers on the left side and all the numbers found in the bottom layer. So that's 2 times 2 times 1 times 3 times 2, which gives us 24. Letter C. I hope you got it right. Next, let's have number 8. Bell A rings every 8 minutes, bell B for every 5 minutes, and bell C rings every 20 minutes. If they rang all together at exactly 11:35 a.m., at what time will they ring together again? 12:08, 12:15, 12:35, or 1 p.m.? What do you think? Now, bell A rings every 8 minutes, so that's 8, 16, 24, and so on. Bell B every 5 minutes, that's 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. And bell C every 20 minutes, so that's 20, 40, 60, and so on. You notice that for all of A, B, and C, I skip counted, or some I did the multiples. Therefore, for the first time that they will ring together, you need to get their LCM. So the same process, in my case now, I made use of the continuous division method. So I know that 8, 20, and 40 are all divisible by 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, 20 divided by 4 is 5, 40 divided by 4 is 10. 2 and 5 cannot be. 5 and 10 could be, okay. So, or you could also have 2 and 10. So in my case, I prioritized first the 2 and 10. And if you do the division, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 5 is not divisible by 2, right? So you just copy it here. 10 divided by 2 will give you 5. 1 and 5, their GCF is 1, But 5 and 5 has a GCF of 5. So we could still continue. Note, you will only stop if they are all pairwise relatively prime at the bottom layer. So they are all divisible by 5. This 5 and 5 I mean rather. So that you will have this. And since they are all just ones, you multiply now, your LCM is your letter L. That's 4 times 2 times 5 times 1 times 1 times 1. I just omitted the ones, which is 40 minutes. Meaning to say, if they rang all together at the same time for a certain particular time, then they will be ringing every 40 minutes. And of course, they will ring again together for the earliest time, 40 minutes after 11:35 a.m., which is the first time they rang, or the time they rang. Therefore, 40 minutes after 11:35 is in fact 12:15 p.m. Letter B. All right. Okay, next. Let's have number 9. What's the LCM, or the least common denominator rather, of 7/15ths and 8/25ths? When we speak, is it 5, 15, 25, and 75, or 75? Speaking about LCD, it is simply the least common multiple of your denominators. So the denominators are found in the bottom, in this case, 15 and 25. That's why in my case, I employed again continuous division method. They are both divisible by 5. You have there 3 and 5. 3 and 5 could no longer be operated in this case, except 1, of course, but never mind. So just multiply this 5, 3, and 5, which will give you 75. Therefore, your LCD is 75. Letter D. Thank you. Number 10. The GCF of two numbers is 9, and their product is 486. What is their LCM? 54, 108, 324, or 408? Now, let's sidetrack a bit. Let's say we have two numbers, 4 and 6. Again, this is not yet we're not answering the problem yet, but I'm just giving you an example for us to determine the relation or the relationship there is that takes place. If you have numbers 4 and 6, what's their GCF? It's 2, right? And their LCM is 12. I believe you know this. Now, let us take the product of the two numbers that were involved. 4 times 6, which is 24. Now, I want you to multiply the GCF and the LCM. The GCF was 2 and the LCM was 12, and it's also 24, right? Yes. And so what do you notice? That is, you could notice that the product of the two natural numbers I gave you is equal to the product of the GCF and LCM. And actually, guys, that is actually true. So always remember this. If the natural numbers are A and B, then their product of their GCF and LCM is equal to the product of the two given numbers. And so by substitution earlier, your GCF is 9, your product is 486, and the LCM is unknown. So 9 times the LCM is 486, and to get your LCM, of course, you have to divide by 9, both sides of the equation. And so 486 divided by 9 is 54. Thus, the correct answer here is letter A. Congratulations who did it, to those who made it. And if you don't worry. It's not the end of the world. Number 11. Find the sum of 3/4 and 7/8. Okay. I think this one is something that you could do with your calculators if you wish. Here's a given, sorry. First, to add, you have to make sure that their denominators are the same. You have to make the two fractions similar. When we say similar fractions, these are fractions that have the same non-zero denominator. So we know that the LCD of the denominators is 8. So I made this 8. The second fraction already has a denominator of 8, so never mind. So what will happen next is you will express 3/4 as a fraction with a denominator of 8. So to do this, 8 divided by 4, that's 2. 2 times 3 will give you 6, right? Here. And you could notice that 3/4 and 6/8 are actually equivalent. Now that your denominators are the same, to add similar fractions, all you have to do is copy the denominator, the common denominator, which is 8, and add their corresponding numerators. 6 plus 7 will give you 13. So you have your 13/8, and by division, that is equivalent to 1 and 5/8. Letter C. Okay. Number 12. Write the missing number. 1, 3, 2, 6, 3, 9, 4 blank. Is it 9, 10, 11, or 12? What do you think? To answer this, okay, this is the given sequence. Now, I will make it into red. The numbers, the even numbered positions, the positions that are even, rather, no? Like this is first, third, fourth, fifth, seventh position. The even placed position, digits or numbers are 3. Okay, this is the second, the fourth, the sixth, and so on. What could you notice? There are possible patterns here. One is, what other C is this? 1 times 3, 3. 2 times 3, you get 6. 3 times 3, you get 9. So what should we multiply to 4? It should be 3, right? Based on the pattern. And 4 times 3 is equal to 12. That's why it should be letter D. Or, what others did was, they just did this. 3, 6, 9, 12. They skip counted. All right. Let's do number 13. Using the number 87, how many times will you use it as a factor to get a product whose ones digit is 7? Is it 4, 5, 6, or 7? Now, you may use your calculators if you wish. But if you have 87 squared, I'm sure that ends with 9. You may verify it with your calculators. Because anyway, 7 times 7 is 49. It ends with 9. 87 cubed ends with 3, that's for sure. How did I know? Because 87 squared ends with 9. 9 times 7 is 63. So it ends with 3. How about 87 to the 4th, do you think? That would be 3 times the 7, which will be 21. 21 ends with 1, so I'm sure it's 1 here. And lastly, if you have 1 times 7, it will be 7. So I'm sure that 87 to the 5th ends with 7. Therefore, you have to use it 5 times. Letter B. I hope you got it. Next. Let's go to number 14. Write 300,012 and 5 tenths in symbols. Okay, which of this do you think? 300,012 and 5 tenths. Take note, guys, that this number, to determine if you will say tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, and so on, all you have to do is you have to determine the place value of the last digit. So this one is tenths. Remember, after your decimal point, you have their tenths. After tenths, hundredths, THS. After hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, and so on. It's similar to your whole numbers. It's just that you have to place there your THS at the end. But there's no such thing as ones, okay? We start with tenths. So the place value, this is tenths, hundredths. Therefore, you could read this as 3,012. You read the whole number part first. 3,012. The decimal point, we are accustomed to using dot, no? But we could just read it as end. 5 hundredths. Why hundredths? Because it is the place value of your last digit. Okay, how about this? The last, okay, this is 30,012. This is 5 tenths. Okay, good, yeah. This is 30,012 and 5 tenths because this is just tenths place. For letter C, this is read as, yeah, 300,012 and 5 tenths. And letter D, how do you read this? This is read as 300,120 and 5 tenths. Therefore, please disregard the other slide. No, there's a no, and this is actually letter D. This is what they call this. This is the okay. This is letter D, by the way, and this one should be removed. This is not part, by the way. I hope you bear with me with the corrections. So it's letter C for number 14. Thank you. Number 15. How many 1,000 are there in 1,000? Is it 1, 100, 10,000, or 1 million? Let's have a quick analogy. So let's say if you have how many 3s are there in 15? There are 5, right? And how you got 5 is you have 15 divided by 3 equals 5. And basing on the problem, how many thousands are there in 1,000? You see here that 15 becomes your dividend. So this 1,000 becomes your dividend, and this number here becomes your divisor. It becomes 1,000 divided by 1,000, which is in fact 1 million, letter D. Or you can use your calculator to solve for this one. I believe you are allowed to use your calculators. Another thing is, if you will not use calculators, you are dividing by this. This is actually 1 over 1,000. And when you divide, you multiply by the reciprocal, right? It will become 1,000 divided by, multiplied by the reciprocal of this, which is also 1,000, which is 1 million. D. Next. The ratio of two numbers is 9:7. If their difference is 24, what is their sum? Some of you are using algebra here. Others probably are using elementary approaches. in my case, I will be using elementary approaches. You see, this is 9 parts. This is 7 parts. So how many parts are in the difference? 2, right? Because 9 parts minus 7 parts is 2 parts. And their difference is 24. So therefore, I say, or we could say that 2 parts is equal to 24 of them. And dividing both sides by 2, so 1 part is equal to 12. You can verify that with algebraic means. And so they are in the ratio 9:7. And one is 9 parts, and each part is 12. The other is 7 parts. And each of the 7 parts here is also 12. Therefore, the numbers are 9 times 12, which is 108, and 7 times 12, which is 84. And thus, their sum, to get their sum, you add them, 108 plus 84, which gives us 192. It's letter D. All right. Next number. When Daria bought a glass of juice for 15 pesos and a sandwich for 37 pesos, she still had 73 pesos left in her wallet. How much money did Daria have at the beginning? Is it 125, 152, 170, or 180? To do this, or to accomplish this, all you have to do, or all we have to do is, we have to add the total expenses by Daria and add it to her remaining money. So all in all, she spent 52 pesos, which is 15 plus 37. And she had 73 pesos left. So adding the two gives us 73 plus 52 pesos, which is 125 pesos. Letter A. Okay. Number 18. How many 3 cm by 3 cm square tiles can cover a square floor with an area of 36 centimeters squared? 3, 4, 6, or 9 squares. And the thing is, how do you usually, assuming that your, assuming that your floor is rectangular and your tiles are also, they're both quadrilaterals, like say squares or rectangles. How do you determine the number of tiles that you need, the minimum number of tiles you need? Okay. You get the area of the floor, right? You get first the area of the floor, and you get the area of one tile of your choice. And so by doing such then, after which all you have to do is determine or divide the area of the floor by the area of one tile. And so by substitution here, or by simplification, you have 36 centimeters squared, which is the area of your floor, and your tile has a side of 3 units or 3 cm. And so the area is just of a square, is side square, or S times S. So you have here 3 cm times 3 cm. This simplifies to 36 cm squared over 9 cm squared, which is 4. Therefore, you need 4 tiles. Letter B. Next number. Let's have number 19. The volume of a rectangular block is 30,000 centimeters cubed. What is the volume in decimeters cubed? 3, 30, 300, or 3,000? What do you think? Based on experience, many answered 3,000. But is 3,000 correct? We'll see. Remember, guys, that the volume of a rectangular prism is equal to the product of the length, width, and the height. And aside from that, in our case, we could express 30,000 centimeters cubed, an example, into 300 cm times 10 cm times 10 cm. Don't worry, guys. If you chose other values, there's no problem with that. You will still arrive at the same answer. We will now convert each to dm. But remember, guys, that 1 decimeter is equal to 10 centimeters. So we are going to substitute 1 dm for every 10 cm present. So to convert cm to dm, we have to divide by 10. Why? Because you are converting a smaller unit to a larger unit, so you have to do division. But if you're converting a larger to a smaller unit, you multiply, okay? So 300 divided by 10 is 30 dm, is 30. So 300 cm is equal to 30 dm. 10 cm is just 1 dm, and this is also 1 dm. And so by multiplying, we could see that 30 times 1 times 1, which will give you 30. And the unit here is decimeters cubed. Therefore, it's actually letter B, 30. I hope you got it correctly. Number 20. The product of two two-digit numbers is 351. What is their sum? 30, 35, 40, or 45? Now, to do this, one can do factoring. In my case, I took the prime factorization of 351, and it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 13. You could actually make good use of your divisibility rules. Because you know that, for example, if you add the digits, 3 plus 5 plus 1 is 9. 9 is divisible by 3 or 9, no? So you could actually, you are sure that this is divisible by 9 and 3 for sure, and so on. But you could notice that 3 times 3 times 3 is not a two-digit number. But if you multiply them, the 3 times 3 times 3, it's actually 27, which is a two-digit number. So 351 could be expressed as 27 times 13, and they satisfy the given of being two-digit numbers, and the sum, therefore, is 27 plus 13, which is 40. Letter C. Okay. 21. If 2, let's say 2 asterisk 5 equals 3, 4 asterisk 9 equals 5, and 5 asterisk 14 equals, okay, I made an error here, sorry. I have to edit this. Okay. It's actually 9 there. Sorry for that, inadvertence. What is 12 asterisk 17? So you could see the pattern is, if you could notice now, take a look at the second minus the first. 5 minus 2, 3. 9 minus 4, 5. 14 minus 5, 9. And basing on the permanence of the pattern, we could say that this is 17 minus 12, which is 5. So the correct answer here is 5, letter A. Next. How many 15,000s are there in 3/8? So the same principle earlier, it's just that this 3/8 will become your dividend, and 15,000s or 15 over 1,000 will become your divisor. Like this. But remember, when you divide by 15 over 1,000, you will multiply the dividend, 3/8, by the reciprocal of your divisor. It becomes 3/8 times 1,000 over 15. You may use your calculators or simplify this on your own. I'm sure this is 25. We are math majors, and I do believe that we have a background on this. Okay? Thank you. Let's have number 23. Or if you are unsure, you may use your calculators. Letter C is the answer here. Let's have number 23. What is the sum of the digits in the product of 23 tens and 32 ones? Take note, sum of the digits in the product of 23 tens and 32 ones. 16, 18, 24, or 25. Now, 23 tens, it's equal to 230 because of 23 times 10. 32 ones means 32 times 1, which is 32. And speaking of product, it implies multiplication. So 230 times 32 is 7,360. But is this our final answer? No. Why? Because the problem is asking us the sum of the digits in the product. Your product is 7,360. And the sum of the digits, we just add 7, 3, 6, and 0, which is actually equal to 16. So the correct answer here is letter A, 16. I hope you did not misunderstand the problem. Let's have number 24. What is the sum of 3 consecutive whole numbers if the smallest of these numbers is 9? 27, 29, 30, or 34? Take note that when we say consecutive, they actually differ by 1. It's an increasing order. And in fact, 9 has to be the smallest. The next is the higher number, which is 10. And next is 11. And so their sum is 30, letter C. Because 9 plus 10 plus 11 is 30. Or if you have this one, the usual tendency of many is add from left to right, right? 9, like this, for example, 9 plus 10, that's 19. 19 plus 11 will give you 30. No problem with that. But take note, guys, another shortcut is how many numbers are involved here? There are 3 numbers involved. And what is the middlemost number? It's 10. And so multiply them. The number of terms or the number of numbers times the middle number, which is equal to 30 still. Because 3 times 10 is 30. And so you could see whether you use the method I said earlier or the one that you have now, they still give you the same answer, which is 30. Thanks. And take note, this method also works as long as you have an arithmetic series of odd numbers. I mean, if there are an odd number of terms in your arithmetic series, it will also work. Next, let's go to 25. What is the 1/5 of the sum of 6 tens and 5 ones? Okay, 1/5 of the sum of 6 tens and 5 ones. So as what I said also earlier in the first few parts or portions of this video, you will have to work from the farthest, from the last, going back. So the sum of 6 tens and 5 ones, 6 tens means 60 and 5 ones is 5. So 60 plus 5 will give you 65. But what is 1/5 of it? 1/5 of 65 means 1/5 times 65, which will give us 13. Because 65 divided by 5 here, this 5, by the way, is understood to be your denominator. So 65 divided by 5 will give you 13 times 1, it's still 13. Letter D. Okay. Next number. Dolly had 155 pesos. She bought a glass of juice for 18 pesos and a sandwich for 41 pesos. How much money did she have left? I think this is pretty straightforward. All you have to do is you may determine the total cost of expenditure, which is 18 plus 41 or 59 pesos, and subtract it from her money in the beginning. So that's 155 minus 59, which gives us 96 pesos. Okay. Letter A. Next number, 27. Marisa called her friend at 10:15 a.m. They talked for 157 minutes. What time did their conversation end? 12:11, 12:52, 12:11 p.m., 12:52 a.m., 12:52 p.m., or 12:54 p.m. So it's important in this problem that we convert. In my case, I converted 157 minutes to hours and minutes. And we know that an hour is equal to 60 minutes. And by division, if you divide 157 divided by 60, it will give you 2, remainder 37. That's why 157 minutes is equal to 2 hours and 37 minutes. So thus, in my case, I added the 2 hours first. Then after 2 hours, I will add the 37. Or if you wish, you could also add them directly. So after 2 hours, it will be 12. From 10:15, it will be 12:15 p.m. But notice that p.m., because once you move or you pass 12, a.m. becomes p.m. or p.m. becomes a.m. So from a.m. here becomes p.m. after 2 hours. And you still have 37 minutes left. So 37 minutes plus 15 here will give you 52. That's why their talk ended at 12:52 p.m. Letter C. I hope you got this correctly as well. Next number, 28. In a farm composed of cows and chickens, there are a total of 13 heads and 42 feet. How many cows are there? 5, 7, 8, or 10? What did you do? Okay, let's do first an elementary approach. But remember, we have an assumption here that each animal has only one head. Because others would say, sir, maybe I saw a chicken with 2 heads. Or maybe, sir, I saw a cow with only 3 feet. Take note, it is already an assumption that all the animals involved here are quote-unquote normal. Okay? So, in my case, I suppose that all animals are chickens. And we know that chickens, normal chickens, have 2 feet each. So if all 13 of them, 1, 2, by the way, these circles represent the animals. And if I assume that all of them, or suppose that all of them are chickens, 1, 2, there are 13 chickens. So that's a total of 2 times 13, right? Which is 26 feet in all, if they are chickens. But remember, the total number of feet is 42 and not 26. And so, what we have to do is, we will put some feet. You have 26. You have here, place 2, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. So you see, guys, these circles here represented the animals that have 4 feet, which are cows in our case. Thus, we have 8 cows, and the answer is letter C. And maybe some of you are fond of doing algebra. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, sorry for the animation. Let X be the number of chickens and let Y be the number of cows. Since the problem is telling us that the total number of chickens and cows is 13 because of 13 heads. So you have here the first equation, X plus Y equals 13. And each chicken has 2 feet and each cow has 4 feet. So that's 2x. This is the total number of feet of the chickens. And 4y represents the total number of feet of the cows, which is equal to 42. In our case, we are only interested in the number of cows and not with chickens. So it's better to eliminate x because we are only after of y, which is the number of cows. So to make their x the same, their first terms the same, this is x, right? I decided to multiply both sides by 2 so that they will be the same here with this one. And multiplying the both sides of the first equation by 2, you get 2x plus 2, this one from here. That's 2 times x, 2x, plus 2y equals 2 times 13, which is 26. And after which, I proceeded with elimination, in this case by subtraction, both sides. So 2x minus 2x will become 0. 2y minus 4y is negative 2y. And 26 minus 42 equals negative 16. Sorry for the misalignment. This one should be aligned here. This one, okay. It's better that way. Fixing it right now. And so, since we are only after y, we have to divide both sides with negative 2. So that is y equals, so therefore we say that y is equal to 8. And there are 8 cows. Letter C. Okay, thank you. Let's have number 29. How many 25 centavo coins are equal to 5 pesos? 20, 28, 30, or 40? I hope you got this correctly. We know that a peso is equal to, has an equivalent value of 4 25 centavo coins. And since there are 5 pesos, and in each peso there are 4 25 centavo coins equal to it in value, so we have to multiply them. That's 5 times 4, which is 20. So the answer is letter A. There are 20 25 centavo coins that are equivalent to 5 pesos. Number 30. If 2 congruent equilateral triangles are placed side by side, what kind of shape is formed? Square, rectangle, rhombus, or kite? Okay, what do you think? Maybe some of you answered square or rectangle or rhombus or kite. Let's check. So an equilateral triangle is a triangle with 3 equal sides and 3 equal angles, which is 60 degrees each. No? Each interior angle. This is 60 degrees, 60 degrees. This is also 60 degrees. And when we speak about congruent triangles, they are of the equal size and shape. And if you place them side by side like this, it will look something like this. So what do you call this shape? This is what we call a rhombus. That's why the best answer here is actually rhombus. This is the best answer here. Okay, thank you. Let's have number 31. What is the value of 15 plus 3 times 2 minus 6 plus 3 minus 1 times 3? Is it 14, 14.5, 15, or 20? Now, take note that you are going to use your GEMDAS. There's no grouping, there's exponent, it's all 1. We have M, multiplication, yes. We have here 3 times 2 and 1 times 3. So both of these should be simplified. 3 times 2 is 6 and 1 times 3 is 3. So this could be rewritten as 15 plus 6 minus 6, copy it, plus 3 minus 3. But I also made into red this one. 6 minus 6 is 0. 3 minus 3 is also 0. That's why it's just 15. Letter C. C. The correct answer is letter C. Next. The cost of a box of chocolate decreased from 120 pesos to 115 pesos. What percent to the nearest whole number of the original price is the amount of decrease? A3, B4, B5, C5, or D7? Maybe some of you answered 5 because 120 minus 115. But actually, guys, we are asked of the percent, not of the amount of decrease. And to determine the rate of change, either increase or decrease, it's actually equal to your absolute difference divided by the original. When we speak about absolute difference, it is the absolute value of the difference of the two numbers. So from 120 to 115, your original is 120, right? Because it's the first, and your new is 115. Therefore, it's actually equal to what? Your absolute difference is 5 because 120 pesos minus 115 is 5, and the absolute value of 5 is 5. Divided by the original, which is 120. And using your calculators, you will arrive to approximately 0.04. And this, and to multiply or to express this in percent, you have to multiply by 100, or you move now the decimal point 2 places going to the right. Therefore, it's 4%. Letter B. To those who answered B, be happy. You got it right. Let's have number 33. If 37 apples cost 333 pesos, how much will 19 apples cost? 117, 171, 201, or 711? As what I said in the previous video, we may employ ratio and proportion here. That is, this is also direct proportion because the more apples you buy, the higher the price. But since if you buy 37, you will pay 333. And since you are going to buy only 19, which is less than the number, the 37, we have to expect that the price or the cost of these 19 apples will be lower than 333. This is direct proportion. And in this case, you have, I will no longer explain this because we have done this before. That is, in a proportion, the product of the means is equal to the product of your extremes, right? So if you have your proportion, you let A be the price of the 19 apples. So 37 is to 333 equals 19 is to A. So 37 and A are the extremes. 333 and 19 are the means. So the product of the extremes equals the product of the means. If you're going to simplify the right-hand side, 333 times 19 will be 6,327. Dividing both sides by 37 gives us 171. That's the price of the 19 apples, is 171 pesos. Okay. Let's have an alternative method. How much is one apple? Of course, you have to divide 333 by 37, and that's 9 pesos per apple. And since you're going to buy 9 pesos per apple, and you're going to buy 19 of them, so by multiplication, that's 19 times 9, which gives us 171 pesos. So you see, we still have letter B as our answer, or 171 pesos as our answer. Okay, I hope I explained it clear. Number 34. Angeli and Miko would like to divide 270 marbles in the ratio 4:5. How many marbles will Angeli receive? 30, 60, 120, or 150? What do you think? So here, 4 parts will be going to Angeli, and 5 of parts will go to Miko. So all in all, 4 plus 5 will give you 9 parts, right? Angeli, sorry, what I mean to say is, I think I made a mistake again, sorry. So this is 4 parts for Angeli. And 5 parts for me. Okay, so I'll just correct it here. So that's 4 and 5 here. So 4, 5. And the total number of parts is, of course, 9. And correct this one. This is the perils of using copy paste most of the time. Okay. This is 5. This is 4 times 30, which is 120. And this should be 5 times 30, which is 150. So you're asked of Angeli, and Angeli will get 120. Yeah, okay, let me explain again from the top. So here, 270 marbles will be divided into the ratio 4:5. 4 parts for Angeli and 5 parts for Miko. So all in all, that's a total of 9 parts because of 4 plus 5. Now, since 9 parts, we are going to divide 270 into 9 equal parts. So 270 divided by 9 will give us 30. Therefore, there are 30 per part. And Angeli gets 4 parts. Miko gets 4 parts. So for Angeli, that's 4 parts and 30 per part. So 4 times 30 will be 120. And for Miko, that's 5 times 30, which is 150. But anyway, we are just interested of Angeli's. We may omit Miko's. The correct answer here is letter C, 120. Sorry for that. Okay, I hope you get it. Let's have number 35. Mark, Thea, and Lotta want to divide 140 pieces of chocolates in the corresponding ratio of 1:2:4. How many more pieces of chocolate will Lotta get than Mark? 3, 20, 40, or 60? Okay, so it's the same thing earlier, same concept. 1 part for Mark, 2 parts for Thea, and 4 parts for Lotta. So all in all, there are 1 plus 2 plus 4 or 7 parts, right? And the total is 140 and will be divided into 7 equal parts. So that's 20 per part. So therefore, for Mark, Thea, and Lotta, that's times 20 each. So Mark gets 20, Thea gets 40, and Lotta gets 80. But we are asked of how many more chocolates does Lotta have than Mark. So that's 80 minus 20, which is 60 pieces of chocolate. Letter C. Or there's another way. Lotta has 4 parts. Mark has 1 part. So the difference in the number of parts is 4 minus 1, which is 3, right? But again, each part has 20. So 3 times 20 will give you 60. So it's the same concept. Different process, but a same answer rather. Next, number 36. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. In 15:x equals 24:8. Find x. 5, 10, 16, or 20. We're employing the ratio and proportion thing again. The product of the means, x and 24, which is 24x, is equal to the product of the means, of the extremes rather, 15 and 8. Simplifying the right-hand side gives us 120. Dividing both sides by 24 gives us 5. So I'm sure that x here is equal to 5, letter A. Next, or if you wish, no, there are many methods, no? Like 24:8 could be simplified as 3:1. So 15:5 is also 3:1. So x is 5. Let's have number 37. A group of 8 friends decided to contribute an equal amount of money to pay for a CD player, and each one is set to pay 250 pesos. However, the 2 of them forgot to bring money. And of course, these 6 people will have to shoulder, the remaining number of people will shoulder the amount, the total amount. So how much will each one pay? Move to 50, 333, 33, 345, or 350. Now, so the thing is, how much is a CD player? It's actually 2,000. Why? Because there are 8 people who will pay for it supposedly, and each one is set at 250. So 8 times 250 pesos is 2,000 pesos, which is the cost of your CD player. However, how many will pay for it? Only 6. Because the 2 forgot money, to bring money. So instead of 8 people shouldering this 2,000 pesos, that's 8 minus 2, which is 6. There are 6 of them who will pay for it. That's why 2,000 pesos divided by 6 So each one is set to pay approximately 333 pesos and 33 centavos. Letter A. I hope you got it. Number 38. If 10 men can finish a job in 24 days, how many men are needed to finish the same job in 8 days? You could see the more men you have, it will take you less number of days, right? And if you want, more men, less number of days, or if you have less number of men, expect that the job will take long time to finish. So therefore, it is an example of what we call inverse proportion. And the thing is, 10 men, 24 days. How many men for 8 days? You could see, if you want to make the time smaller, so you notice guys, 24 became 8. What should you do with the number of men? Will you increase or decrease? Of course, we have to increase because more men working means less time. And therefore, in this case, we could see that 24 divided by became 8 because it was divided by 3. And since we are talking about inverse proportion, we will multiply the number of men by 3 because divide here times here. So 10 times 3 will give us 30. Therefore, you need 30 men to finish the job in 8 days. And that is letter A. Okay, questions? If ever you would like to ask some questions, feel free to reach me in my Facebook account or in my email if you wish. Okay. Next. A tank has a capacity of 50 liters. How many seconds will it be filled if the flow rate into it is 2.5 liters per second? 20, 47.5, 52.5, or 125? What do you think? So all you have to do is to determine the time, you actually have to divide the volume by the flow rate. That's why it's 50 liters divided by 2.5 liters per second, if you wish. This liters, if you divide by 2.5 liters per second, the L will go in the denominator and the seconds will go in the numerator. No? So the liters will cancel. That's why only the second will remain. That's why it will take you 20 seconds. Letter A. Number 40. What is the greatest of all numbers in the set 2 cubed, 3 squared, 4 cubed, and 3 to the 4th? So, in this case, for us to compare them, it's good if we will express them all in their in this form, in decimal form, like this. So 2 cubed means you take 2 as a factor 3 times, so that's 2 times 2 times 2, or 8. 3 squared means 3 times 3, or 9. 4 cubed means 4 times 4 times 4, or 64. And if you have 3 to the 4th, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81, right? Thus, we could see that 81 is the largest among the 4, and so our answer is letter D, 3 to the 4th. 41. An airplane arrived at 10:45 a.m. it was delayed for 1 hour and 25 minutes. If the flight time is 1 hour and 30 minutes, what time was the airplane supposed to depart? By the way, there should be a period here, no? Then, if. Okay. What's your answer? 7:50, 8:15, 8:20, or 2:40? So, to solve this problem, it's better if you compute this. That you have to compute the delay in time and also the travel time. So 1 hour and 25 minutes added by 1 hour and 30 minutes gives us 2 hours and 55 minutes. And so, what are we going to do? Is it 2 hours and 55 minutes after or before the time? Because you're asking of depart. Your departure is before your arrival, of course, and so you have to subtract this particular time. So what is 2 hours and 55 minutes before 10:45 a.m.? That is 7:50 a.m. Letter A. Okay. Next number. I hope you're still fine. We have 42. On December 6, 2014, Risa bought a load worth 300 pesos for her cell phone. If the load is valid for 75 days, until when is the load available if December 6 is included in the 75 days? Is it 5, 16, 17, 18, or 19? Now, the thing is, how many days are there in December? December has 31. January has 31. February has 28. In a non-leap year, in a usual year, but if in a leap year, there's 29. But since 2015 is not a leap year, so there should be 28 only for February. Anyway, it says here that December 6 is included in the 75 days. And remember, from December 6 to December 31, it has to be 26 days. Why? Because December has 31 days, and you exclude December 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you exclude 5 days. 31 minus 5 will give you 26. From January 1 to 31, that's 31 days. And if you're going to add 26 and 31, it will give you a total of 57 days. Now, but the load is not valid for 57 days only. For 57 days. It's valid for 75 days. And so, we have to subtract 75 and 57, and there are 18 days left for the load to be valid after January 31. And of course, it has to be February 18, 2015. Letter A. Is it really A? Let me see again. Is it really A? Oh, sorry. There's something wrong here. I think I forgot to edit this one. This is letter C. Sorry for that. Okay, this one, yeah, okay. This one was, okay, so it's letter C, by the way, for number 42. Sorry for that. Next, 43. The average of one set of 4 numbers is 15, and the average of another set of 3 numbers is also 15. What is the average of the 7 numbers? Less, exactly, greater than 15, or cannot be determined? Okay, what do you think? Okay, what do you think? It's exactly less than or greater than. And if your average of the 4 is 15, so the sum is 4 times 15 is 6, which is 60. Because the sum is equal to the average or to the number of numbers times the average, which is in this case 4 times 15 or 60. For the three numbers, that's 3 times 15, which is 45. And so if you're going to add the 7 numbers, this is wrong again. This is 7 times 15. And it's 105, which is the sum of 60 and 45 here. So 105 divided by 7, because there are now 7 numbers involved in all, which is still 15. So the answer is exactly 15. That's why if two numbers, if a set of numbers has the same average or mean as of another set, and if you combine them, always expect that they will have the same arithmetic mean or average. 44. Lita's weekly transportation expenses is reduced by 70% when she joined her tito in going to school. If she used to spend 150 pesos a week, how much does she spend now for transportation? 45, 50, 75, or 105? If she is paying only 30%, why? Because it's reduced by 70%. So 100% minus 70% is 30% of her previous transportation. And since she's paying 30% now of 150, so I express 30% as 30 hundredths. Because to convert percent to decimal, or you have to divide by 100. Or in this case, you will move the decimal point 2 places to the left. Say 1, 2. So you have here. And by multiplication, it will give you 45 pesos, which is letter A. Okay. Next. 50 is 25% of what number? 25, 50, 200, or 1,250? Before we answer this, I hope you could still remember your PBR. Your P stands for percentage, and usually it is near the word is or its equivalent. For example, if there is 50 or 50 is, so that could be your percentage usually. B stands for the base, and it could be identified if it's usually after the word of, for example, and your rate is usually in percent or in fraction, depends. And your magic triangle suggests, by the way, that if they are together, you multiply them if they're side by side. But if one is on top of the other, then you divide. So percentage equals base times rate because they're same level. For the base, it's percentage divided by the rate, or yeah. And for the rate, it's percentage divided by your base. So now, if we're going back to the given, you can see that 25% or 0.25 is actually your rate. How about 50? Because it says 50 is. It's your percentage, no? And so we are solving for the base, and the base is equal to your percentage divided by the rate. So 50 divided by 0.25, which is 200. So the answer is letter C. But in your case, if you use fractions, for example, 25% is 1/4. 50 divided by 1/4. So if you divide by 1/4, it's the same thing when you multiply by 4. So 50 times 4 is still 200. That is if you used fractions. Next number. If 50% of a number is 700, how many percent of the number is 70? Is it 5, 10, 15, or 18? Let us focus first our attention to the first set of given. If 50% of a number is 700, that's your rate, and your P is your 700 because of the is 700. So the same thing earlier, looking for the base, it's your percentage divided by your rate. So the base is, okay, is equal to 1,400. That's your base. Now, but there is another set of given. Your base is now 1,400, and it says there is 70. So your percentage now is 70, and we are looking for the rate, which is percentage divided by the base. So that 70 divided by 1,400, and simplifying will give you 500ths. But 500ths, remember, we have to convert this to percent. And to convert to percent, a certain decimal value, you multiply it with 100. Or in this case, if you multiply by 100, you move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So it's 5%, letter A. I hope you got it. An alternative method will be like this. So if you could notice, 700 became 70, right? Okay, there's an extra 0 again. Sorry for that. 700 became 70. So you divide by 10, right? From 700 that became 70 that happened because 700 was divided by 10. And by direct proportion, 50% should also be divided by 10, which is 5%. It's still letter, okay. Still letter, it's a letter A. Okay, next. Observe the pattern. 7, 10, 13, 16, 19. If the pattern continues, what is the 40th number? 121, 124, 127, or 130? You see, starting from 7, you get the succeeding numbers by adding 3 each time. So therefore, this is an example of what we call an arithmetic sequence because it has a common difference. And to determine the nth term of an arithmetic sequence, you have your a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d as our formula. I will no longer derive this. Where a sub n is the nth term, a sub 1 here is the first term, n is the number of terms, and d is your common difference. So going back here, you are just simply adding 3 all throughout. The first number here is 7, so it's your a sub 1. Your n is 40 because you're looking for the 40th term. And your common difference is 3 because it's you're adding 3 each time. And if the sequence, by the way, is increasing, then it has a positive common difference. But if it is decreasing by the same number, then the common difference is negative. So we're looking for the 40th term or a sub 40. By substitution, it becomes a sub 40 equals 7 plus 40 minus 1 times 3, which simplified to 7 plus 39 times 3 because of this, okay? Then plus and times, you have to perform multiplication. 39 times 3, which will give you 117. So 7 plus 117 is 124. Thus, the 40th number in this sequence is 124, letter B. Okay, we are almost near 48. What is the average of 5/8 and 3/10? So, diba, to get the average or the mean, all you have to do is add the given numbers and divide by the number of terms or numbers. Since you have your 5/8 plus 3/10, and since there are just two of them, so their sum will be divided by 2. And after performing addition here, 5/8 plus 3/10, by getting their LCD first, no? Their LCD is 40. It will become 25 40ths plus 12 over 40, which is 37 over 40. And if you divide by 2, you multiply by 1/2. And that's 37 over 40 times 1/2. So you multiply numerator to numerator. 37 times 1 is 37. And denominator to denominator, 40 times 2, which is 80. So the correct answer here is 37 over 80. Okay, let's go to the next one, number 49. When a number is subtracted from its additive inverse, the result is 8. What is the number? -4, -2, 2, or 4? What do you think? Now, to do this, let x be the number. And of course, when we speak about negative inverse, it's simply the number that has an opposite sign from the given number, except for 0, of course, because 0 is neutral. So for example, if you have 5, then -5. If it's -10, then +10. That's the negative, the inverse. Next. Sorry, I mean here, additive inverse. That's the bad thing there. From its additive inverse. So if you subtract -x with its additive inverse, so it says here, the number x is subtracted from its additive inverse, which means because of the word from, the additive inverse becomes the dividend, the minuend, and the x here becomes your divisor. So that is -x minus the number equals 8, which simplifies to -2x equals 8. And dividing both sides by -2 will give you -4. Letter A. I'm sorry for that one, because sometimes when we make our PowerPoint, due to copy-paste issues, so those are mislooked. Okay, and let's have number 50. The vertex angle of an isosceles triangle is 36 degrees. What is the measure of one of its base angles? 36, 72, 108, or 144 degrees. Now, when we speak about vertex angle, we have this. If this is the vertex point, when we speak about isosceles triangle, it is a triangle with at least 2 equal sides. Take note also that an equilateral triangle is also an isosceles triangle. So let's say for now that the two sides, that it has exactly 2 sides equal for now. The 2 equal sides are what we call legs. And the point that is common to both legs is what we call your vertex point. And the angle between the angle that is included by the two legs are what is what we call vertex angle. And the base here usually it's actually may or may not be equal to your legs. No? And the angle that is formed by a leg and a base angle is what you call base the angle formed by the intersection of a leg and a base is what you call base angle. But since there are two legs, there are also base angles. And take note also that base angles are equal in measure. Now, it's given here that your vertex angle is 36 degrees. We know for a fact that in the Euclidean plane, the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So subtracting 36, you get 144 degrees. And what is this 144 degrees? It is the sum of the two congruent base angles. But since the two of them are equal to one another, then we have to divide by 2 to get the measure of one base angle, which is 144 degrees divided by 2, which is 72 degrees. So the answer here is letter B. There, letter B. And if you're going to see how it looks like, it's 36, and these are 72, 72. And if you're going to add 36, 72, and 72, it will still give you 180 degrees. And that ends this set. I hope you learned something out of it, and sorry for some corrections that are needed. And if ever there are some corrections or clarifications, please feel free to comment. Thank you. And one day, you'll just be a memory for some people. We will be memory for some people. Let us do our best to be a good one for them. With that, TYVM, thank you very much and good day.